Welcome to BAASS Virtual Connect 2020 and our session on learning management with CriterionHCM. I'm Nancy Pierce, your BAASS host for the session, and Steve Kuhn, the Chief Sales Officer with Criterion, is joining me on this final session again. So our agenda for today, or this particular session, is reviewing how Criterion can help you record and manage all aspects of employee education, not just a list of what they have and what they need, but also deploying training through in-house classroom training, tracking on-the-job training, on-demand courses, or monitoring career paths. We talked earlier about succession planning in the keynote, and this is where you really can leverage the learning paths, is what Criterion calls it, where you can have a series of courses and requirements for somebody that is looking to move into a new role, or that you're hoping that they will take a new role when that position opens up, tied again to those millennials who are taking over, or other generations that are taking over from the baby boomers and people who are retiring or who leave the organization. Just a reminder before we get started that you're all on listen-only mode, but please post your questions using one of these methods and we'll circle back at the end. And Steve, maybe you'd like to do a little overview for anybody who hasn't attended our other sessions, and what our focus is here.
Thank you, Nancy. Yes, hi, I'm Steve with Criterion, and we're going to be focused this session on learning management. It is part of the talent engagement suite of the full Criterion HCM solution you see displayed on the screen there. It is basically made up of these 4 tiers or columns, if you will, of human resources, talent engagement, payroll, and time and attendance. And we've walked through almost all of them this afternoon as we've gone through these presentations, but we're going to focus on learning management and talk about how that integrates with the rest of the solution, from employee self-service, manager self-service, as well as an admin function. But just to give you a brief note, Criterion's been around for about 36 years, and this is all we do. We have a full suite of HCM, or Human Capital Management solutions, that are cloud-based and hosted in Montreal for all our Canadian clients. With that, I'm just going to turn it back over to you, Nancy, and if you want to just go through a brief overview of LMS, and we'll get started.
That's great. Thanks, Steve. And I just was thinking about something to talk about later. So during our first session, we talked about the benefits of having engaged employees, and we know that employee engagement, success, and retention are all strengthened when employees are empowered through education. As you can see in this slide, that learning and talent development's the bond between attracting and retaining talent, motivating, engaging, and developing employees, and building strong values-based culture and employer brands. Employees are attracted to working for an organization that values education and either provides or supports their employees with the opportunity to better themselves through learning. This is a cost to the employer in time and a financial investment, time that the employee is spending to do this, if it is during work hours. So those organizations are then motivated to keep their investment and retain those employees. It seems to go hand in hand that they have other good systems to keep their employees. Part of the value of a service-based business is the strength of their employees, and the stronger the employees, the stronger the brand of the company. Maybe you just need to keep a list of certifications and renewal dates in HR, but if you need to provide classroom training or on-demand course content, Criterion can meet your needs. Steve's going to get into that system to review how classes can be set up and how instructors can manage them. He'll also discuss how to allow employees to access course content to work on independently. And Criterion also supports learning paths that I just talked about a bit ago. So employees can see how they can achieve their goals on the road to promotions, for example. So we'll touch on courses and classrooms, certifications, and career paths, course assignment options, and the employee access and the manager access, and through the self-service. So I'll just leave it with you, Steve.
Well, thank you, Nancy. All right, we'll get started. I'm going to switch over into the product here now, and we're going to start off in admin. So here you're seeing a graphic on the screen. You'll see this dashboard, and it's really talking to you about all the different KPIs or key performance indicators that each admin can track based on what they want to see, not necessarily what someone else in the organization wants to see. But as someone that's going to be in charge of, learning management, there's a tool over here called settings, and this is this little gearbox over here. And one of the things I will point out as far as Criterion is concerned, regardless of whether you're talking about learning management, performance, any of these things, payroll, recruiting, all of this information is accessible by your system administrator. So while you have BAASS that's going to help you get configured on a system and make it set up to fit your requirements, you're also able to access this system as well, this settings. And one of the things we're going to touch on is that learning management. And these are the components. We're going to talk about how the setup works first, and then we're going to get into it on how it works for the employee or how that's viewed by the employee, as well as the manager. So one of the first things we talk about is really developing courses. And really the whole idea behind a course is being able to define this course by this criteria here. So I'm just not going to complete this. We'll bring up one in a minute that has been completed. But you'll see here that there's, code and a name, but the different types. So there's on-demand courseware and there's classroom courseware. If it's simply on demand, people can take it at any time. Great. There's no real, heavy-duty requirements that have to be done. But if it is a classroom, then you're going to need to go over to the classroom tabs and really understand where the classroom is, what size, number of people it can hold, where it's located, things like that. And the instructor, all right, because there's a couple different things that happen. Number one, you have a limited number of seats in a class. So therefore, as you go and people register and they fill up the class, they're going to create a waiting list, and that waiting list is managed by Criterion. One person drops out, the next person moves in. All of this is done through alerts so that the learning management officer doesn't have to really track anything. The system is managing on its own. And then an instructor would be assigned to that class because it's usually face-to-face type training. And that instructor would get things like the class roster, be able to take attendance, note grades, things like that are automatically updated in the system. Then you have other choices around enrollment. So enrollment is simply, is it open or is it restricted? Well, there's another third kind of a combination there. You can make this enrollment to this course open to everybody in the organization. They can see it in the course catalog, and they can just simply take it if you want to, if that's part of the process. However, you may want to restrict it, and when you do, you're going to restrict it based on employee groups. So perhaps this is a course only for this, type of employee, whether they're a trade specialist, they're, a plumber, or maybe they're a carpenter or something like that, but maybe only restricted to the carpentry group, which could be apprentices as well. All right. Or then you have the hybrid, which simply says it's open, so anybody can take it. However, if I assign it to a particular employee group, that means all those people in that group have to take it. It is a required course for them. One of the examples I always use is simply as you bring on new employees, there might be a video or a course that you want people to take over company policy and things of that nature. Set it up as a course, assign it to the employee group called, say, new hires, and then that way every new hire that comes on board is automatically given that course that they need to complete. Of course, it can be tracked through the system. And then you have the ability to have different course content types. You can have, if you're not just getting on your feet with learning, You can simply do a file. I got a Word document I want people to read, or I got a PDF, or I've got a PowerPoint document. I can simply assign a file. Okay. I also have URLs. Sometimes you have things on SharePoint that you want to direct people to. Great. Put the URL in there and it goes right out there. And then you have these two LMS standard formats. One is called AICC, the other is SCORM. These are formats that are standard in the learning management market, if you will, that these courses come wrapped in either an AICC or a SCORM wrapper. And what that allows you to do is take like a Word document and simply import it into a SCORM tool, and then you can ask questions, you can do grading, all sorts of different functionality like that. Or you might license courseware from a third party that you can upload into the solution as well. Then you have the ability to decide, how much time they can take on this course. I'm going to assign it to you and I need it done in a week, 7 days. Okay. And then I'm going to notify you, 30 days before it's due, and then 15, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to done you until you take the course and complete it. You can say, all right, I need to take this every year. We in the States also work off of a workplace and sexual harassment training that has to be done every January. So it'd be recurring every once in a year, and it has to be done by January 31st. And that way, every year it comes along, nobody has to do anything, because the system knows that it comes up and it's due on January 31st. And then we're probably going to put some notification in there that says 30, that reminder notice. You can also attach particular skills to a course. If you complete this course, you will have skills equal to, proficiency in Excel or in PowerPoint or whatever this particular course would relate to. That way, the individual can look at this and say, aha, I'm going to take this course, and then upon completion satisfactorily, the system is automatically going to add that skill to that employee's record. So if you need to go back and look for a person that is proficient in PowerPoint, for a special project, you can search off of skills, find this individual, and say, aha, we got a job for you to do. So that's a little bit about the courses. Now, the great thing about it is it goes further than that, and it allows you to expand into learning paths and certifications. Now, we talked about classes, which is the physical location of a course, but if it's on demand, of course, there is no physical location. It can be done anywhere. But learning paths and certifications are two different directions. Learning path says, I want to put somebody in a career path that moves them, or they can become, management material, within a certain period of time. So I'm going to build a learning path around management. And what I'm going to do is link courses together that tell that person that here are those things that you need to take, in order to be even considered for those particular management roles. But I'm going to give them to you, I'm assigning them to you, and you can take them when you can. When you reach that point, then you would be in contention or consideration for a management role. Now, certification, though, takes it a different direction. Certifications are usually done every X years. So I want to be able, I've got a notary, and it is for every 3 years. Well, in doing a notary, I might be able to take 3 out of 5 classes or 2 out of 10 or something like this. And as long as I do them, like continuing ed, I can maintain my certification in my notary. And once I reach those completions, it will automatically go, aha, you've completed that 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 8 or whatever that might be, and automatically give you a new extension on your certification in the system, so that nobody has to maintain or monitor those things because they'll be refreshed as the employees finish them. There's also skills that we're going to talk about here in just a minute again, because skills relate to courses, they also relate to positions, and they also relate to employees. So there is that melding of where this person is, competency-wise in the skill, this new position they want to be in, and what the competency level of that skill needs to be. And over here in the courses, there is a course that if he takes this course, he will receive this competency score that would put him in line for moving into that new position. So all of that can be linked together or tied together. Now, how that looks for the employee is in self-service. So if I move into self-service, which I think you've probably seen if you sat in on any sessions, you've seen this a few times. But you'll notice the icons down here as we drift through them, and we have learning. Now remember, as a manager, I don't have to sign in as an employee to take my own learning and then, sign in because I'm a manager to look at my team. Regardless, I can see either or both because I just come in here and see what courses I have actively been assigned. So you'll see all these different courses right here, and you can simply say these are on demand. So I can, just simply click on that, start, and it will launch that courseware for me and track it through its progress. And then it's stored in my completed courseware, so I or whoever is in charge of learning can come back and say, what has Steve completed? Well, here, let's just click on the completed courses and let's just see what he's done. You'll notice over here that even if it's a classroom, I could also view the results of the testing that was done as well. Now, if I am a manager, I can also view my team. So my team comes up, and you'll notice here that my team is, what is the upcoming courses that my team has? Well, this is Christopher and Donna and Dennis and so forth. These are the upcoming courses that they have. But maybe that's not as important as what is past due. And it would list out the courses that I have that are people that are past due in taking a particular course. So I may need to talk with them. Also, I might be in charge of a course, and so I might, or class. So I want to see who's registered or who's signed up for a particular course. And I could see that as well simply by clicking on the course and bringing up, this workplace safety course. And then it would list out everybody who's been assigned to it. Okay, and if they have completed it, I could get that information as well. And I could come over here and say well, I don't see so-and-so on the list. So I could come over there and say, I need to get, Gareth on that in this course. Now I clicked on Gareth. Gareth's been assigned. Gareth also gets an alert that says, you've been assigned this workplace safety course. You need to take that. And depending on, Gareth, he could take it, just click on the link and it would take him right in here into self-service and he could do that. But perhaps I need to look at somebody, employee and say, well, what are they taking? So I could come over here and I could find an employee. And when I find that employee, I could come in here and say, this is the guy I want to talk about, and these are the courses that he's taking. And then I can add courses or I can add classes for him automatically. And again, he gets that alert of information so that he can take the course himself. Now, this is employee self-service. This is done typically on a tablet or on a workstation or something like that. However, we can come in here and we can do all of this on a mobile app. So this is just a representation of the mobile app that it can be either for Apple or Android. And you can come down here to learning And here's that same information that I saw earlier. Okay, these are my active, courses. So perhaps I need to take this Periscopes 1, all right, and look at that. Or maybe I just simply need to, add courses to my course load as well. And I can do that as well and just assign it to myself. So I can do these, whether they're courses or whether they're classes. And the system operates the same way. There's no difference whether I take the course on my phone or on a tablet or on a laptop. The system recognizes that they're all the same. Then I also have the ability as a employee to come in here and update information because perhaps maybe I'm a new employee or I've earned a certification outside the system and I simply want to add that into the system so people can keep track of it. So you'll see here, I can come down here and I can add in my certifications. Now, anytime there's a certification that gets added, it can go through a workflow, which simply says who needs to be notified, who needs to approve the fact that Steve has uploaded a certification that expires in 2021. Okay, and that person looks at, reviews it, approves it. It becomes part of my record. But I can also put in things like skills. Now, skills can be, managed in one way by determining what skills we feel are appropriate for our organization. So we decide the categories, or you as the client decide the categories, the skills, and the skill levels. Nonetheless, if I come in here and say I'm an energy controller and I have superior level qualities, you may want to test that out before you actually put that as part of my skills library, and you can certainly do that as part of the workflow. So that way, employees can manage their own skills, certifications, courses, so they can manage all their own learning, but managers can also do that as well. They can assign courses to employees, but then there's also a learning manager can do that too. Or you can also have a learning manager manage the entire thing for the organization. So Nancy, is there anything I need to cover that I didn't mention in the presentation?
Actually, I see somebody comment that they saw something about instructor there. Can you talk maybe from the instructor perspective?
Absolutely. So, two different things. You can be an internal or you can be an external instructor. And so, you may have somebody come in, that's going to do a course or a class on safety. All right. So you can assign them that class, give them a special pin so that they can actually access the course roster. They can take attendance. They can do all that information as well. But you can come in here and I am an internal, okay, instructor. So I can come up here and I can see the various, classrooms that I have, and I can, find add attendees. I can come in here. We'll just do John, and let's just see if we can find a couple of Johns here. We'll just add those guys. So they're going to get notification that they are part of this classroom now. Okay, I can also come in here and I can apply an action, which simply means, what is his completed status, score, things of that nature, the value, that they were waitlisted, they didn't show, things like this. So I can manage that roster in a variety of ways. I can also put an attachment out there. One of the things we can do with classes is simply do an evaluation. Employees can do an evaluation on the instructor and on the class itself. Does that help?
Yeah, that's a big help. That's really nice. So I also see that someone has asked, how looking at Criterion, how is that all deployed? And I just really want to make a comment about BAASS's relationship with Criterion and projects. So BAASS is a business partner with Criterion. We have certified consultants, and Criterion does host the system on the cloud, as we talked about. But BAASS actually does the implementation and using our BAASS implementation methodology. And then post go live or after you're live with the system, we provide support, level 1 support. And if there's any technical issues, we actually deal with the Criterion team to make sure that those are handled. Sometimes you as a user might get involved to provide some of that information. So just really kind of wanted to flush all that out and give you a perspective on how that's all deployed. Now that we've really recapped, everything here, it covered off all of those components in Criterion. So Haley, any other questions? You asked, I think there's one you're asking, can you upload the recorded webinar? Does this platform that we're using allow that? So uploading is that a question then about recording a webinar that employees can watch? Steve, I think that's the question there.
Oh yeah, so certainly. So you can upload any kind of webinar video recordings, things of that nature, and be able to access it so employees can view as a course. However, you could upload that video just and put it as part of your documents, your resources that are part of self-service down here, and you'll see under there that there's also company videos that you could even upload it. And maybe it's not a course that you want everybody to take, you just want to make it available to everybody.
So I think that the other part 2 of that question then, a follow-up is, for example, they're asking, can it be done with a GoToMeeting recording training webinar and use that? Have you had anybody?
So so you can embed the link in the course, and then that just simply launches it out to the GoToMeeting.
And if you do that, is there any way to see how far they've gotten along through that video? Any monitoring of that, or if they've completed it?
Unless it's in like something in a tool itself, no. Okay, and what I mean by that is that there are tools out there that will track. Okay, but if you simply upload a video, no, it won't track to see how far that took, or how far they went into the video. But there's tools out there that can assist with that.
And another question: is there an option for a quiz?
That would be, using SCORM or AICC formatted tools, and yes, you could do that.
Great. Good. Haley, you've had some good questions coming through there. Any others that you see?
No more have come in just yet, but I'll give people a couple of seconds to type in their questions.
That's great.
Actually, we have another one. Can you expand on SCORM and AICC?
Sure. So SCORM and AICC are file formats, similar in nature to kind of like a Word doc format, or a PDF is a format. All right, there's several free tools out there that can be used to develop these SCORM forms or formats. And all that is a way to deliver that particular document in a shell. And that shell, that wraparound or shell, allows you to then, put at the end of it questions that you want to ask, or scoring that you may want to have take place, or how far did somebody get within the document before they closed it, little things like that. So there are several different tools, and Nancy can, I can help Nancy identify some of those things that can be used. But once that's done, even if you take a Word document or a PowerPoint and save it as a SCORM document, then it becomes available for you to attach that scoring or rating, or however you want to define it, grading. And then it's your own courseware. However, there's several suppliers of courseware that you can license, as well as third-party tools. We do not provide content, because every client has a different need, and it's just it's easier to go to a company that does that for a living, if you will, as opposed to us trying to go ahead and trying to manage everybody's needs.
Great. Haley, any other questions there?
Can employees upload their certifications?
Absolutely. So they can come in here, they can come down into their career, and you'll see here certifications. Now this gives you the expiration date, but they can certainly send along the document that, if they want to take a picture of it and upload it, they can do that as well.
And the question we have, the final question we have time for is, what about SurveyMonkey? Can we embed a link for a quiz for training?
I'm not sure I'm following that. Can you give me a little bit more information?
SurveyMonkey is like a quiz
Oh, I know
platform.
SurveyMonkey. Yeah.
Yeah, they're asking,
Yeah.
can they embed that link from SurveyMonkey for a quiz for training? Or do they have to only use the quiz feature within Criterion within the Criterion system?
Oh, interesting question. Yeah, they could make it, actually, they could embed a link, because you'll see up here that there's a course attachment, right? And then the screen that I'm showing right now. And that could send a link out to, SurveyMonkey, and they could do their testing out there.
Wonderful.
And then final question, can these courses be tied into onboarding tasks?
They can. They can be automatically assigned to. So if you set up an employee group called new hires, then every new hire would automatically get that course.
That's great.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, we've had lots of great questions on this one, and even went over time. So thank you, everybody, for that input.
Do I get a gold star?
You do.
You get 2 gold stars for sure. So with that in mind, I'd like to say thank you so much to Stephen for presenting, and Nancy for helping moderate, and a big thank you to the entire Criterion team for all of their hard work.